All right. Hello, everybody. Again, thank you for tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are watching another episode of Pencil Leadership. We are in for a treat tonight, everybody. We have Betty Kempa, and she is one of the industry's top career change strategists. Now, she specializes in helping mid to senior level corporate women transition out of their unfulfilling jobs and into careers they love using her signature 5-step career bliss coaching formula. So her clients, they include executive women from companies such as Google, Sephora, PayPal, Workday, and numerous other Fortune 500 companies. Betty is a thought leader in the industry who writes and speaks on topics such as overcoming imposter syndrome, dream career clarity, and effective career change. So Betty, welcome to Pencil Leadership.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Super excited to have you on the show and just kind of pick your brain on how people can find their dream job, even in midlife. So, but before we jump into that, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your journey, your story, as to what's brought you to be a career coach.
I would love to share my story with you. Yeah, so thank you for the intro.
No problem.
You covered the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little about my background. So before I became an executive career coach, I was a corporate communications manager for over a decade. And I worked at a variety of different corporate retail headquarters. For a hot minute, I was in the healthcare industry too.
Okay.
But during that time, I struggled with what I call a case of the shoulds. So I struggled with a case of the shoulds, meaning, and I'll back that up a little bit more. Why was I struggling with a case of the shoulds? First off, my college major was communication. Okay. Right. So I should follow a career in corporate communications, right? That's right. What you do. My dad was a corporate HR executive. I always looked up to him. And so for me, it made sense in my mind. I should go for a corporate career. And it was just interesting, so I found myself in that world. And what I saw happening is I would get settled in a company. Right. I'd get in, I'd get my foot in the door, and I would tell myself, this is it. This is your dream role. You should be happy here. And right. I wouldn't be. And something always felt off. It's kind of like I felt like a square peg in a round hole.
Yep.
And the thing is that made it hard, which I think probably a lot of people can relate to, is I couldn't put my finger on it. Because you're suffering from the shoulds. And so you're like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't this jiving? So, I felt unfulfilled, but I didn't have clarity on what would make me happy. So what I would do is I would switch companies, right? So I'd be like, oh, it's that company. Let me try this one.
Yeah.
And I would get my foot in the door and I made it. And, a high profile company. And the joke was that I was incredible in between jobs. That's when I would shine, in between. So the interviewing, the branding myself, negotiating, it's like that would light me up. And then I would land the job and it was like a balloon deflating. It's like, oh, now I'm here. Yep. So essentially I was like, right? And it's so sad. So I was white knuckling it through my corporate career. And eventually I just got worn down. Lack of work-life balance. A couple different places, toxic workplace culture, playing politics. I felt very uncomfortable doing it in my corporate job. And I just didn't feel passion around my particular line of work. I went through layoffs, but eventually it just something had to give. So I leaned into one of my other superpowers, which is reading and research. So I can tell you, I've read everything on finding your passion and career transition. I've taken every assessment. And that's how I came to realize all signs were pointing to career coaching. Every result, that's awesome. It's like, oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. So that's really my story of how I came to move into this role, is that kind of level of deep introspection and realizing when do I feel most alive?
Yeah.
It's when I'm helping other people find their passion, nail an interview, negotiate, land a dream job. So that's how I leaned into this world.
That's awesome. I love that. And it kind of reminds me of my story too. The same kind of thing, just not feeling that passion once you're in those jobs and finally figuring it out. But so how long have you been a career coach?
Yeah. So it's coming on 3 years now.
Awesome.
Coming on 3 years.
Awesome. That's
Working
awesome.
my way there.
So you've obviously been enjoying it then.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, I could go on, and it's not,
right.
I'm not trying to tell your listeners, become a career coach. I mean, right. I am, but for me, right. That's the whole thing is,
yep.
My wish for everybody is everybody finds their niche, their passion, and then just understands that it is possible and you can move into that. And this is mine.
I love it. I love that. And it kind of goes like with the quote I have above me here, just be the hero of your story. Like for so many times, so long, we're just programmed and we follow what we're told is the right thing to do. And when you come out of high school, you're supposed to know what you're going to go to college for and then work forever to retire. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. And that's not what everyone is made to do.
Yeah. I love that. And I often coach my clients on something similar is like, who do you want to become? And I'm not even just talking about the label, but who is the person you want to become? And then you can start to think, what would she do in this situation? How would she feel? How would she show up? And exactly what you said. I love that quote, become the hero that you want to be. Step into it.
Yeah. I forget who says it. It could be Bob Proctor, but he says like, for so long, we are the supporting actors. We're not the hero. We're the ones on the side in our own story. And so we've got to take that step, leap of faith, whatever it is, go through that fear to get to that level in our own stories. And like you did coming out of your corporate job and starting your career coaching business. And so kind of where do you find, and obviously it probably stems from some sort of fear, but with the individuals you coach, where do you see that block being with them a lot of the times to start that journey?
Yeah. So there are numerous blocks and they're all, I mean, it's all, of course, it's some kind of an inner block. Usually it feels external. It's that thing. It's the money. It's the this, is that, but usually it's some kind of internal block. And there are different types of internal blocks that I see preventing people from becoming their own hero, right? Or stepping into that dream role. So one is a limiting belief, right? So that's something you accept about life or about your career or about your world or the people in it that limits you in some way. So that's number one, is limiting belief, right? And in the career world, that could be, it's impossible to make a great salary and love what you do. You can't have both. Limiting belief. Or of course, what I see, because I'm working with mid to senior level corporate women, it's too late in the game for me. I can't change. This is too late in the game. Limiting belief. I also see something that prevents people from stepping into it is the inner critic. So that's a little bit different from the limiting belief, right? The inner critic is more about the narrative you tell yourself. I'm doing this because it's like that little voice in your head that's sometimes I call it the gremlin, that's whispering, you're not good enough. You can't do it. You're not, right? So it's less about the outside world and more about your belief in your own ability. So the inner critic, and then just fear of failure, fear of failure. And the way people perceive failure is this terrible thing. And it's the fear of failure.
No, I think those three are definitely some, if not the top reasons so many people don't take that step. And I like to focus a lot on the inner critic just because of my story coming through that, and seeing your worth is more than a position or a title or whatever. Like you mentioned, it's not the title of who you want to become, but how it makes you feel, what you're able to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean and it's so interesting too, with both the limiting belief and the inner critic. And I'm sure you see this too in the work you do. It's like a lot of times the clients I work with don't even realize they have it. They have it, that limiting belief or that little voice. They just are accepting that as part of like who they are.
Yep.
And you have to have the awareness and then separate it from step outside of it and look at it from a 30,000 foot view and really dissect it. So it's interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And being able to like make those real, like, okay, wow, I am like having those negative thoughts or opinions towards myself, even when you don't realize it, those little quick, like, oh, stupid, like, why'd you do that? Like things like that, like bring it to the surface. Okay, those are real. Like, and so what's the underlying thing? And then when those happen, turn those and start building off of them in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a full session with my clients on gremlin work. And this is where I was certified as a coach. We did this gremlin work.
Okay.
And it's identifying that inner voice, bringing it out to the forefront, getting that awareness, and then figuring out where did that voice come from. Usually it derived from somewhere. Mm-hmm. So you want to figure that out and then move to a place where you can realize, you know, at one point in my life, that voice was probably serving me. It popped up to protect me in some way, but it's no longer serving me. So I got to release that, or I got to give that little guy a new job and keep him busy so that he's not telling me I'm not good enough to move into this next role.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so huge to understand where it comes from, where it stems from, and be able to then kind of twist it to a direction that's helping you and moving you forward. So with those blocks, so you're able to help someone see those blocks, those inner blocks, external blocks even, and move past those. So now you're into like okay, now who do you want to become? How do you find that dream job?
Yeah. So, and you know, it's exactly what you said. Like, so that's the first thing I do with people. Step one of my process is what we just talked about, is addressing those inner blocks, because the thing is, I can help someone figure out their dream role, and we could get all the way down the process, and they figure it out, and they see the brass ring, but they don't want to reach out and grab it because they got all this inner gunk.
Right.
So yeah, we have to address that first, get it out there, get it, you know, and it's not a one and done, right? Like it's, you have the awareness, and then you have to continuously, you know, address that and be coached on that. And step two is, so now how do we figure out what does the dream role look like for me? Yeah. And so what I do is I walk my clients through a series of assessments and introspections to really, here's the way I look at it. You have to become a detective. Yeah. You have to become a detective in examining who you are and what makes you happy. So a couple examples of ways I do that with people. One activity I like to do is something I call unpacking your past. Okay. And that's where we look at your job history. And I want to understand, what did you love about each role? Because there's probably something, even if you're like, that one, no, there's usually something in there that you were like, well, I did like that part, because we want to replicate that. That's a clue. Point. Right. And then you also want to figure out what am I no longer willing to tolerate about each role? What do I want to avoid? So we're gathering clues, and we're using your job history as our first clue.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's super important. Yeah. And it kind of almost makes it simpler because you've already had these jobs. Yeah. You've had things you like, so you know where you can go in the direction with those positive aspects of those previous jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked with a gal once. It's just so interesting because I think people want to just discard their past, like, that was miserable. But it's like, you never know what kind of clue you're going to come up with. There was one gal that I worked with. She was an executive assistant for a CEO of a company, and she was over, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not into it. I'm miserable. But when we did that exercise, what we pulled out was, she admitted, she's like, well, you know, sometimes he would let me rearrange his huge office, and I would pull in different furniture and lighting and plants. And we really, really, really unpacked that. And she ended up going into personal organization as a business. Wow. Because she loved that teeny slice of that job was the one little thing. And it's like, how do we blow that up even more?
That's awesome. Yeah. Cause there's so many cookie crumbs almost like through our path. Like that there's things that we liked, especially even in those hard times or those things that aren't completely desirable. There's still little things just like that. And I think that's really cool. So she took that little thing and then grew something from it.
Yeah, then I love the way you put that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Cookie crumbs. That's what is exactly what it's like. And that's all the assessments I'm giving people is, we do personality type and strengths and what motivates you and what are your values and what's your mission and your personal mission statement. What are the job functions when you're in a state of flow where time just seems to fly? It's like the one part of your day that you look forward to. They're all cookie crumbs, and we're gathering them up and seeing what they create.
That's so cool. Yeah. And it's the biggest, like, because we're created with a purpose. Like, there's something out there that we fit into or we fit doing. And so if we could all step out of that program nature that we've been in for so long and really get in sync with that, like, so much good could be done because we're going to be all, like you said, in that state of flow and be able to bring so much to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much abundance in the world. Yes. I mean, there's enough for everybody because we each have that little thing about ourselves that if we really focused on it and blew it up, it's exactly what you said. It's our gift. The world is waiting for us to wake up and embrace our gift and share our gift with others. There are others out there. Whatever your thing is, there are people out there waiting for you to identify your gift and share it with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, you're a career coach, a success and lifestyle coach, and myself, but like, we're not going to attract the same type of people. We're different in how we approach things and our personalities. And so like, but there's so many people, we're still going to be able to help.
Yeah.
Amazing amount of people. And so that's why, like, people who, well, they're already doing that, but it's like, that's one person and there's billions of people out there.
Totally.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. Being able to get that out of the way and just kind of run with it. How do you, because it is work. I mean, doing that's a big leap. How do you guide people in finally starting to build that kind of dream job, dream life?
Yeah. So, and one other thing that I'll share is that I think it's challenging for people in general is they will take assessments online, like, oh, let me take my personality assessment. But then people are like, okay, now what? Like, what do I do with this? So what I do is we're gathering the cookie crumbs. I use something called a dream career scorecard.
Cool.
So we are inputting into the scorecard values, strengths, personality type, it's all part of the scorecard. And at the same time, I'm giving assessments that are spitting out career recommendations. So you're also inputting that onto the top row of your scorecard. And ultimately, what I have my clients do is do some research, do some informational interviews with other humans who are doing that role. And then from there, we rank out to what degree does each career fulfill each of your cookie crumbs.
Yeah.
And they're able to total it out and see on paper, this is it. It's not shiny object syndrome, like, oh, that sounds cool. No, this is it for me. So that's how we kind of make it tangible before then it's okay, let's leap into making the transition.
Yeah. So with that transition, do you see a lot of people stick in corporate jobs, or do they realize maybe they want to start something on their own, or is it like a even mesh?
So interesting. Such a good question. So this is interesting. When I first started out, most of my clients would just get a different corporate role. And sometimes it was like a small tweak, and sometimes it was a 180 degree move, and they would maybe go down a level so that they could get their foot in the door and then back up. Interestingly, now I've seemed to be attracting more and more, maybe it's the times that we're in right now, but I seem to be attracting more and more corporate women who want to build their own coaching business.
Oh, cool.
And are like, hey, I kind of like this flexibility of, working from home, and I really love coaching direct reports, and I kind of wish I could do this full time. And I was able to build out a 6-figure business doing it. So now I'm like, let me take you with me. Let's replicate that. So it's interesting. I've seen a shift, at least for me and my business, and who I've been helping.
That's great. Yeah. So, cause I kind of geared towards entrepreneur type because I want to help people as they start up and get their kind of apples in line or whatever that quote is. And so getting going. So that's cool. That you have that kind of trait happening now. And yeah,
It's
like it could be
interesting.
the times. Yeah, for sure. So, so how does, I guess, things change? Do you see when people find that kind of that dream, quote unquote, dream job? Do you have a lot of people come back and say, "Oh my gosh, this is wonderful"? Like,
Yeah. So you cut out a little bit. Say again, Chris.
yeah. So with the with as you're helping people find their dream jobs, like, what's the feedback you get from them? Like, wow,
Yeah.
this is feels great. I'm like in the flow of things now. Like,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Is that kind of what you're getting?
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, this is like the best part of the job. This is why I'm obsessed with coaching is
Yeah.
all I want to do is just put everybody into their right little niche, their right little
Yeah.
spot. And yeah, it's like I get these messages from people. It's just this moment of freedom.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I can be who I am. Like for so a lot of times people are in these ill-fitting corporate jobs and it's almost like you got to put this face on and show up as somebody who you aren't really that person, but you feel
Yeah.
like you have to show up. So the messages I get from people is like, I feel like I can embrace who I really am and it's freeing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because yeah, if you're going to something and you're trying to keep the good face on, even though you're not enjoying it completely, like that wears you on you. That tires you out
Yeah.
over time. And so it again just goes back to being in that correct alignment into that flow. And it's so much. It might not be 100% easy, but it's just gonna feel
Yeah.
more natural and less draining.
For sure. And that's a good point. It's career change is not easy. It is not. I mean,
Yeah.
you can probably attest to this too, like in
Yeah.
your life. Like when I was getting up and running with my business, it's hard, man.
Mhm.
It is, but the cool thing about stepping into your passion is the stuff that felt hard in my old world,
Hmm.
even though it's still hard, it's a different kind of hard. It's
Right.
like I am flinging off the sheets Monday morning because I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to solve that?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of hard. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
just getting that momentum build up. I mean, because you're starting and you have nothing. You have to start the credibility going. You have to find the first ones that are going to help, and you're able to help, and then just
But
get
it's
it
so
going.
fun
Yeah.
because I love doing it. And this is the same thing
Mhm.
with my clients. When it's something you love, the challenges that would feel hard for other people are almost not to sound cheesy, but they're a joy.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a whole different level. It's a whole different
Yeah.
thing. So that's awesome. So I'm curious. Do you have big goals this year, despite everything that's going on in 2020, for your business at all?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So, I hired my own business coach, which has
Awesome.
been really cool. And I always say, coaches need coaches, man.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, coaches need coaches. We all need coaches
Yep.
because you just can't look at this stuff in a silo.
Right.
So it's been cool. Yeah, she's been walking me through. I'm trying to scale my business at this point to 200K.
That's awesome.
Um, I'm also building out more of the helping other coaches program. So I created a program, the 5 C's of building a 6-figure coaching practice.
Awesome.
And so I'm starting to blow that out this year.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how is this scaling going for you? Like, what do you see there's any big obstacles with scaling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a ton of obstacles.
Right.
I mean, again, like I have a business coach now, so
Yep.
it's the stuff that I mean, would I figure it out eventually? Of course, I'd
Right.
figure it out, but it's just, I have a mastermind group. I have a business coach. So it's cool because we can run these ideas off each other. One thing I've been doing is using a membership site. So
Okay.
whereas
Yep.
previously I'm sending my clients like, here you go, here's your stuff, here's your assessment. Now I'm putting it all on a platform
Yep.
that I can give them access to and
Yeah.
videos and
The
worksheets and all
different
that good
modules
stuff.
and stuff like
Yep.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So cool. No, I just always love seeing how people are growing and how it's changing and seeing what they're doing to up it. Because I mean, obviously, if we're not improving, advancing at all, then we're gonna kind of follow the wayside. So it's always
Absolutely.
fun to
Yeah,
hear
you got to
about
move
that.
with, you got to pivot. And that's the cool thing too about
Yeah.
when an entrepreneur steps into becoming an entrepreneur and it's right for them, I think you probably notice this too. Doesn't your gut sometimes kind of tells you, ooh, shift sales, ooh, move that? It's like you kind of know.
Yeah.
You just have to listen to that.
And sometimes those feelings, those gut instincts are like, ooh, are we sure? Are we sure that's all we want to do? Because that's a lot. That's a big thing. And so
let me check with my mastermind.
Yeah, let me check with my wife. So absolutely though. Getting those like kind of gut reactions, like, okay, we gotta switch something up or change something that's not
working. You kind of know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it's always fun seeing how people are growing and, like I said, what they're doing. So, as far as clients, you have like a number you're reaching for. I know you said scale your business 200K, but I didn't know if you have a goal as far as number of clients.
Yeah, I don't have a goal as far as number of clients. To be honest, and not to say there's anything wrong with having a goal like that. It's
right.
For me, it's more about the type of people I'm helping. For me, I want to attract more of my ideal client. And you know the type, right? Like we all have our own like vision of ideal client. So for me, it's more about that quality of client. I just want somebody who's in it to win it, and they're open, and they're kind of like bring it on. And so if I could really say, like, wave a magic wand, it would be attracting those types of people.
No, I love it. Yeah, it's the same thing, like ambitious, aspiring entrepreneurs who want to change the world. That's kind of like my vision.
Yeah.
Someone who's ready to
open-minded. They're not, it's like they're willing, because in a way it's almost like sometimes it's like I'm trying to replicate myself a little, because with me and my business coach, anything she says, like, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, what? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's huge. So hopefully, and I think 2020 will still be a great year for you and what you're doing. And just having people seeing that they can take that step to their dream job, like really getting those inner blocks out, I think is a one huge step. And then kind of just assessing themselves, assessing where they've been, and putting those crumbs all together and seeing where it takes them.
And I've definitely seen, with everything going on in the world with the pandemic, and when we first went into lockdown, it's interesting because I created like a quickie, like job seeker accelerator program, thinking, oh man, I'm going to have an influx of people. And of course there's a lot of layoffs, but really what I found is, at least with my client, she's finding this time to be really introspective. And she's finding this time to really start to question, do I want to go back to that role?
Yeah.
Is that the life I want? Or maybe life is too short.
Yep.
Life is precious.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make the most out of this life. So I'm having a lot more people look for those cookie crumbs and be really super introspective.
Yeah, I think this has been big for people in that regard, is trying to figure out what they really want to do, because life is short, and so we don't want to waste any of our time. And so I think that's huge. And with that being said, I like, before we close out and everything, to ask a question based on the 5 traits of pencil leadership. The 5th being a pencil's made to leave a mark, and we too can leave a mark on the world, despite wherever we are, the stage of life, the title we have, whatever it is. So after everything is said and done for you, Betty, what would you want your mark to be?
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, my mission in life, and P.S., I wrote this out as my mission in life before I even knew what a coach was.
That's awesome.
My mission in life is to help other people find and follow their passion. And a part of that is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Fear does not mean stop. Fear is your green light to keep going, because you're growing. So that's the mark I want to leave on the world.
I love it. Yeah, I think fear can motivate and push us forward and not hinder us, so we can use it as a positive thing as well. So that's cool. That's really awesome. Well, where can people connect with you, find out more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on bettykempa.com, BETTYKEM as in Mary PA. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So definitely follow me on LinkedIn. I share a lot of content over there.
Awesome. Well, Betty, again, thank you so much for being on Pencil Leadership. We are blessed to have you and your knowledge on finding your dream job.
Thanks so much, Chris. It's been such a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this show, we would love for you to head over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a review. It helps us out. We're able to reach more people that way. And if you also can share this with somebody else, make a difference in their life. Maybe they're looking to change up careers and get into a new dream job. So share this with them so they can get connected with Betty and what she's doing. So, all right, guys, go out there and be pencil leaders.